Welcome everyone. I am Mr. Goldenbaum, and this is Supremacy 1914. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are finally back. We are playing the Shattered America map. If I go back here, you can see some of the other matches we've got going on. We've got the Middle East match that is still going on. I know we did a few days of this, but I guess we are now on day 74. If anyone has questions, I can certainly answer those in the comments. Although we weren't able to do a bunch of videos on that Middle East map, I think we got a few good ones in. It was more of a test run just to make sure everything was working, audio was working. Hopefully this series will go on much longer than what we were able to do in the Middle East. But we are doing the Shattered America map. 43 players. We got in here just a little while ago. I believe if I check the newspaper, we can take a look here, and it looks like the game's been going on for about an hour and a little bit. So we're a little bit behind. First thing we're going to do, let's just open up the province administration. Let's select all of the provinces, which we have, and let us start by building the recruiting offices. I don't have premium. If you have premium, you can obviously skip this step. Certainly a really nice luxury to have, especially when you start in right away, but we can do without it. We can, we don't necessarily need premium. Now, it would be really nice to have premium and getting the queues. I think that's the strongest aspect of it, but I think we're good as is. First thing we're going to do, I want to check the market. I want to check the market before any good resources kind of get scooped up here. Wood, 4.8. All right, that has my name on it. That is good. Oil, 4.6. I am taking it. These oil prices for day one are a little high. I think there's a chance that this will go lower. I'm not looking at energy at the moment. I'm just checking some good deals. Not a lot of iron and wood, but I will take these at 11.1. I think those are some pretty fair prices day one. In terms of food, this is tough, but I will secure a little bit of fish here, and I will let you know why in a second. I will take the grain as well. Unlike last game, we've had a chance to complete a few operations, earn a few, what do they call them? Rewards, packages. Right now we have the Flying Bear operation. We're actually able to max that out since we're pretty far in another game that we're playing. I think you needed around 65 bombers. We were able to get them. Certainly, if you have operations you can complete, do them. I think the heroes are extremely powerful in the game. If you do not have them, it becomes a struggle, which we had in another game where our opponent was able to churn out these heroes day one, whereas we didn't have anything. So even if we had the better strategy, the better plays, we still took more casualties than we should have. But because we have unlocked some heroes, we now have access to some heroes. But before we do that, let me just see what we've got going on here. We have oil, which is really nice. We have 2 steel, 3 steel provinces, 2 wood, so we have some basic materials and resources coming in. We have 2 for food, so we are light on food, but we do have the double grain, which is massive. We have a double energy and we have a double coal and a natural gas, which should give us a good energy boost. I don't want to run a deficit. Let's check our sliders. Oil, not consuming. Energy, we have a good surplus. I'm not concerned here. Materials, day one, having such a surplus is huge, but what I am going to do is I'm just going to max this out for 100% iron. Lumber is good and everything, but early days, building forts, building armored cars, in every situation, I believe iron is going to be better for us. We don't have access to the coast. We're not going to be able to build harbors for a little while here. This is going to be our optimal setup. And then the same thing, well, no, I take that back. I'm going to try to reduce this deficit in fish. And why might I be doing that? Well, we unlocked a hero recently. As you can see here, we have Marco, we have Hank, we've got the new Ivan guy, we finally unlocked Orhan, we got Tatiana, and after the new hero update changes, we were just barely able to squeak a Lawrence of Arabia. I believe we got some like extra 50 medals or whatnot that we were able to get from Vitro, which is nice. But the hero I'm most interested in is going to be Fiona. Oh geez, we've got these hints. I thought I turned these off before. Bear with me. If we go through, so it doesn't show it in her upkeep. So I mean, she's got her daily cost, but when she uses her ability right here, Call to Arms, infantry deployment, we're able to deploy 4, which is massive these early days. And in fact, I'm going to want to call her out as soon as I can here. And the beauty about having a little bit of extra food is we'll be able to utilize the fish to spawn those units. So let's get into that. Heroes, 5 of them. This is a luxury. We've got 1, 2, 3 heroes to choose from. Usually I have nothing, and nothing. So this is going to be fun. I have Hank. Hank will spawn with 3 infantry almost right away. What's his deployment time? Oh, I guess it doesn't show it here, but once we deploy him, I'm sure it'll show it. But Hank will give us the 3 infantry and a little bit of attack and a defense boost, which means we're going to be taking out any kind of 10 infantry stacks relatively fast, and we're going to be taking a little bit less casualties. I believe when you look at the ratios, you end up taking about 3 infantry when you attack a 10 stack. If you do take them out in one tick, if I can lower that down to 2, that would be massive. Let's go back to province administration. Apparently, when I had selected everything and I had hit build recruiting offices, I must have missed something. I could have sworn everything was highlighted here. I guess I'll go back afterwards and see if that was accurate. But it looks like I only built a single recruiting office, which is not ideal. While we wait for these recruiting offices to finish, before we can start building the workshops and churning out some armored cars, let's just take a look at our situation here. We have 1 AI, 2 AI, 3, 4, 5, 6 AIs boarding us. We have 6 AIs bordering us. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I take that back. All of these gray-colored AIs or gray-colored minor nations are all AIs. That is a pretty strong position. That means that provinces such as my steel here in Arnett, the steel here in Cherokee, the gas in Tulsa, all of the troops and infantry there can essentially be freed up and moved into another position to support an offensive operation or to hold a better defensive position or a more strategic position. In total, we would have about 5 provinces, so a total of 5 times 10, 50,000 troops that we would be able to utilize for an assault. That's powerful. Colorado here, I'm not seeing any movements. What I am going to do is send 1 infantry stack. I will not send that infantry stack. I believe if I move the infantry to the border, I cannot see what is going on in Pueblo. But what I will do is I will take these troops and start allocating them over to Oklahoma. I'm going to keep the single infantry troop here just to act as a deterrence. Colorado does not know what we have in this province unless they kind of go a bit further. It would require their units to march very close to our border, which would buy us a little bit of time. I'm not that concerned at the moment. I may build a fort here at some point, but for right now, I want to free up those troops. I want to use them elsewhere. Missouri, on the other hand, this distance is significantly shorter than what we have with Colorado. Little short on my side, longer on his side, but it is still a pretty long distance. If we lose this province, not the end of the world. Whereas if Missouri attacked us, took our double grain, I would be more concerned. And the distance is a lot shorter here, so our ability to react to them is also going to be a lot less. The other thing to note, though, is that he can see our troops, so I really do not want to move from this position. So it also turns out that Missouri is in AI at the moment, as is, looks like, Nebraska, to some of our neighbors. I think it's a little risky to leave your borders exposed. The player can join at any moment, and that player can hop in, see that we have no troops guarding our border, and then proceed to launch an invasion. Whereas if we're away, we have troops pulled in another direction, we wouldn't be able to react. So I am not going to shift any troops away from here. In fact, I'm debating building a fort. But before we do that, let us get our workshops out. 1 workshop, 2 workshops. I believe the first one is very quick, so we can queue up the second one. The second one takes a little bit longer, but at the same time, I'm also going to queue up our armored cars. We've got 9.5 thousand steel in the bank. I don't want to commit too much, but I certainly want to get 2 of these armored cars out. 1 and 2, perfect. And in terms of production, let's get these cars out. 2 days, 5 hours. That will go down rather significantly once the second workshop is out. 1 and 2, perfect. Something interesting to note. Texas joined earlier than us, and so when I was kind of bringing up the fact that Missouri can join after the fact, we joined after the fact when Texas already started initiating a lot of their operations. From what we can see, Dallas is entirely unguarded. It looks like they are marching to take over Mabank. That's a funny name. It's going to take them about 2 hours, but Dallas is exposed. Depending on how quickly they can react, we could potentially march forward into their territory, take the territory before they even have a chance to react. That would be the ideal situation. The not ideal situation is we bring our troops over, they spam a gold fort, and we lose our entire army. That's a possibility, but let's take a look at their stats. If I look at their stats and we check out their service record, so they have they've been a member since 21, and they are level 2. They've played 3 games and have only taken out 11 AI units. Built 3 forts, some workshops. Oh wow, they've built more workshops than they have recruiting offices. All right, so I think we found our first target. I'm pretty sure you needed to be level 3 to join this match, so I am very surprised that they were able to get in. Oh, all right. I guess I was wrong. I thought there was a minimum rank. Not set, not set. All right. I was wrong here. Regardless, I will fully pounce on this opportunity. I think I found my first target. I will shift troops over to Oklahoma. I assume this is like Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. I like geography, but I'm not familiar with what the central area here would be for Oklahoma. Texas cannot see my troop count, so even if I shifted a few troops over to Durant, they would not see anything coming. The troops stationed here in Sayre, I will leave for the time being. If there's anything that comes out of Colorado City, it's a long distance. I think we're going to get a pretty early heads up. But just in case, I'll keep them there. If anything else happens in Colorado, I'll be able to shift those troops over. With this assault and Texas hopefully kind of not being here, I will deploy a hero on his border. I'm going to deploy Hank right in Durant. And it looks like mobilization time is about 3 minutes. While the mobilization is occurring, I believe your opponent can view this little mobilization circle, and I believe they can also see the countdown. If they take a look at it, they see it's 3 minutes, they know it's Hank. Most other heroes take longer than that, a day. I don't believe there's any heroes that take more than a day. But 24 hours, I believe, is the most common, especially for the higher tier units. With Hank out on the field, I will also bring up Fiona. What's nice about Fiona is that she is able to, and I believe I mentioned this just a little while ago, deploy 4 infantry or mobilize 4 infantry every few hours at the cost of fish. We'll get a small infantry movement speed boost, which sounds really good, but it looks like that's only in our own territory, so I don't really want to attack with her. And we get a little bit of a vision boost, which is interesting. If I deployed Fiona on the border, I don't believe I could see what's in Colorado City. I don't think it's going to help me here in Gaimon either. But I still want her relatively close to the front, so I'm going to deploy her. Oh, wrong button. I am going to deploy her in the capital. She'll be very close to the front, and she will mobilize in 20 minutes. I don't believe our opponent here in Texas will be able to see her. But once she mobilizes, we'll be able to utilize we'll be able to utilize this feature right here. So we'll be able to deploy the 4 infantries. It looks like it's a 3 second, wouldn't that be great? 3-hour countdown where we'll be able to bring in these units for a cost of 450. I would much rather have Fiona than have to build and maintain a barracks, which may still be the play. But this is so much stronger and so much cheaper, in my opinion, personally. This is good. After 30 minutes, we're going to start deploying some troops. If necessary, we'll have a surplus of troops in the capital that we can send to reinforce any of our other defensive positions. For our next hero, and I believe our last hero for day 1, is going to be Orhan. Orhan at 4 stars would give our armored car defense boost of 12%, which is massive. And we just got him to level 4, which means we will have an additional armored car spawn with him. Went up against so many opponents with Orhan's extra armored cars. I had nothing. That's tough to beat with infantry alone, especially when your opponent has a whole bunch of other heroes. So yes, I will certainly take him. Ideally, I could have mobilized him in Durant and used that armored car to move up to Dallas. Unfortunately, I believe he's got the 24-hour cooldown. So in your first day, if you've got Orhan, use him to secure any kind of defensive position that you want to hold, but you don't necessarily want to allocate too many troops to. He's fixed for that 24-hour period, so he's really not effective on the offensive until he spawns. All right, let's bring that back. Orhan, where are you? In this situation, I want to discourage Missouri whenever a player is selected, and a player was selected, so regardless of the player's stats, I'm going to deploy him in the Grove. Perfect, and he should come with an armored car. Can I split him, is the question. I cannot split the armored car. Okay, good to know. I always wanted to check that out. Well, okay, looks like we can split it, but it doesn't really make a difference there since it still has to deploy as well. Our opponent in Missouri, apparently our opponent Missouri is level 1-2, which doesn't make a lot of sense. They've got a really strong combat record here. It could have been from the tutorial that they played. I guess they've joined 3 of those. Shattered America, so they're familiar with the map. Not so good against players. They've built a lot of workshops. They do have factories and railroads, so they're a bit familiar with the late game. I'm not too worried here. I will actually... Oh. Okay, so Missouri is playing... And it looks like they are shifting infantry over to potentially attack this AI here, which I would probably call a pretty strong play. Getting that early morale boost would be massive. But this armored car here should be sufficient. I will not be investing into an additional fortress. So what I am going to actually do is wait to launch my offensive until Texas fully commits into taking out East Texas. I'm sure they're trying to reclaim... Is this North Texas? No, I guess it's Amarillo. Okay. I want them to commit to the war, commit their troops, up their forces, which will give me that opportunity to attack. And what I'm going to do, and we'll see if I end up going with it, but in about 2 hours or so, I am going to launch a single infantry to march straight for Dallas, forced march, followed by my actual troops. I'll secure the grain. I'll move on to Colorado City with a few infantry if it's unguarded, and I will be marching toward Austin. If we can secure Austin, we can secure Emerson, Lubbock here, take the oil, take the double steel, take the gas, and then proceed to the coast. That would be my ideal situation. It would give us a coast and a river on our southern front, which would essentially limit our exposure to 2 provinces here on the side, 2 provinces here on the east, 1 in the northeast there, and then 1 in the northwest. With only a few choke points like that, that's going to free up a lot of our troops to go on other offensives, regroup, counter, all that good stuff. Checking the market. It's always good to check every now and then. We got a bit more oil, which I will snag, and a little bit more wood, which I will also snag. Always good to keep an eye out. AIs can drop trades all the time. I might make a few trades of my own to sell off potentially a bit more coal or gas at a decent price. But for now, this is pretty good. But this is exciting. We've got 3 players that don't appear to be the strongest. A pleasant change for once. It feels like a lot of times we're going up against some strong players, strong coalitions, or folks who have pretty fat wallets. Not to go into too much detail, but we did play another game On the Middle East map, we were doing pretty well. We were on pace to win the entire game and went up against a player on the East with level 5-4 provinces, factories, airports, everything. They were gold marking everything. We took the initiative with a surprise attack, sunk their entire fleet, battleships, cruisers, started going after railguns. We were doing great. We sunk their fleet. Magically, 12 ships came out. We sunk the 12 ships. More ships came out. I'm pretty excited right now. We've got a good positioning here. Lots of AIs, weaker players, a pleasant change of pace here. That could change. One of these guys could bust out their wallet, whole bunch of gold marks. That would not be a fun experience, but I'm optimistic here. I certainly will take a simpler game, a game that you don't have to check as often. You just kind of want to make sure everything's going well, and not have to worry about a level 5-4 railguns and bombers spawning every few seconds when you least expect it. In terms of coalitions, we've only got one right now. Not much of a concern. We'll see if this develops. Our worst situation would be if all of our neighbors decided to form a coalition and then proceed to take us out, but I don't believe there's a strong chance of that happening whatsoever at the moment. Well, thank you all for joining. I hope this is a start of a great new series, much longer than the previous one we were able to do. Again, just testing out a lot of the features, recording software, audio. Hopefully it's better. Certainly give me some feedback. I'm still trying to fine-tune this thing that somehow picks up every time I lightly tap the microphone on accident, or I kind of breathe in a little too close. Still trying to tweak all that. So certainly give me feedback. And with that, I'll see you all next time. One little bonus thing I'd like to add. Missouri. We talked about Missouri not really having much of a service record. I believe it just maybe took a little bit of time to load in. I thought I was looking at something else, but their service record looks decent, especially against the AI. I believe they have a decent amount of experience, at least on the early game. But take a look at this. Fort right here, built 2-3 hours into the game, and they joined 30 minutes ago. That was all gold marks. Their troops were moving over to Mountain View. I don't know if they were planning an assault. They saw me deploy, got worried. But it looks like these guys are willing to use gold marks, so I'm just going to keep an eye on them. It's not a threat at the moment. I believe our defenses are pretty good. But if they start spawning in additional armored cars, tanks, cavalry, in the later stages of the game, rail guns and planes and all that, I'm gonna get worried. But let's just keep an eye on them for now.